Welcome to the introduction to homework week 2. So in this video, I'm just going to make sure you have enough context to understand what you're about to read because it's a little weird. And also you want some background about it. And then I'm going to talk about what purpose you should use as to guide your reading. Then I want to discuss a little bit of the guidelines for how to both record a response to this and then also record a response to your peers talking about this. And then we'll talk about, well, how do we do that in the first place? What is the process to record a voice memo? So let's begin by saying that what you're about to read is a person's response to this man. So this man, Stanley Fish, wrote a series of articles called What Should Colleges Teach? And he published them, I think, in the New York Times. And it was basically his idea of what people should learn when they go to a college composition course. So this is the same course that you guys are in right now. English composition, freshman composition, whatever you want to call it. He is an academic. He's been an academic for all of his life. You can see his credentials range from University of Chicago to Yale to Berkeley to Duke. He's a very distinguished guy. So he says, let me tell you what I've learned about what we should teach whenever we're teaching college composition. He says, you need to clear your mind of the orthodoxies that have taken control in the composition world. And what does that mean? The main idea, he's like this orthodox, like this religious dogmatic thing. He's like the religion of the composition world, according to the professors who make up the college composition and communication conference. They say that we affirm the student's right to their own patterns and variety of language, the dialects of their nurture, or whatever dialects they find in their own identity and style. And Stanley Fish says, I disagree. I do not affirm students' right to their own patterns and variety of language. And instead, he says that when you come to college, you have one main objective whenever you go to the freshman composition class, and that is to learn how a sentence is formed. So, what is the relationship between the subject, the predicate, and the object, and a variety of other elements of a sentence that he wants to talk about. But the major points are the subject, so like I, Sally, she, we, Doug, whatever. Then the predicate, so the verb, like dance or think or I am, and then object, so the thing that receives the action. So he says that when you go to a college composition class, you shouldn't be writing essays. You should just be understanding what a sentence is and what the relationship is between those words. He says, once they see this relationship, and it is an indispensable lesson, they are ready to explore, generate, and practice with other forms that organize the world's items in increasingly complicated ways. Basically, there is only one thing to be learned, that a sentence is a structure of logical relationships and everything else follows. Okay, so I would like you to imagine if you would enjoy being in this class or what you think about this class. Maybe you would enjoy it. In his composition class, I have devised a number of exercises designed to reinforce and extend the basic insight. They include asking students to make a sentence out of a random list of words and then explain what they did, asking students to turn a 3-word sentence like Jane likes cake into a 100-word sentence without losing control of the basic structure, and then explain word by word, clause by clause what they did, etc. So you get the idea of what kind of a class this might be. The article you are going to read is by this man, Vershawn Ashanti Young, and he is also a professor in the field of composition, and he disagrees with Stanley Fish. He writes this academic article using non-standard American English dialect, so the words and the phrases and kind of the style of it is not standard American English. However, he still structures his piece like a regular academic article. You'll see it was published in an academic journal. So as you read this, I want you to ask yourself, obviously there's going to be style that is different, and that might surprise, excite, bother, confuse. It might do a lot of different things to you. But what I want you to hold on to as you read is, why does Young disagree with Fish's argument? What does Young think about how students should be able to use their own language? And why does Young think his idea is better than Fish's idea? So these are the 3 main things I would like you to focus on as you read. So this article often brings up a lot of feelings for people because it's it's provocative and it's interesting and it's unique. But I just wanted to say that you are going to be recording responses and then you are going to be responding to your fellow students. And let's just admit, text can be controversial and responses to text can be emotional. And I want you to think as you respond, and if we were in class together, we would do this together and we would make a set of guidelines. But I want you to make sure that you ask yourself, what would make you feel safe and supported during conversations about emotional or controversial texts? And then I want you to practice that as you record your responses. So some of the things that my previous classes have said are that you should be actually ready to hear what other people say and not just interested in your own thoughts. So when you're talking about controversial text, you should be a little bit open to thinking something slightly different. If someone also expresses disagreement with a point that you make, that does not mean that they're mad, and it also doesn't mean that they think you're stupid. Sometimes ideas are emotional, but they can also be something that are a little bit outside of us. Like, let's take a time to just kind of understand that it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is angry. When you actually do respond to someone, though, you don't want to use charged language with a lot of like emotion in it. You want to try to really think about the ideas and be somewhat neutral. You also want to acknowledge something that's reasonable about the other person's idea. You want to say, yes, I see this part of your argument. I see this part of your response, and it's valid. And then I think a lot of times is like, if you're just feeling a lot of emotion, but you can't really figure out why, and you can't express it with a clear idea that makes sense that someone can respond to, that might not be a good thing to say, to speak on, right? Find something that's a little bit less charged and a little bit more neutral, or pause until you have a clear way to express yourself. So when you're actually responding to the voice memos, I think there are a couple of other ways that you're going to do this in the discussion post. But when you start an assignment, you're going to click media and record and upload media. So I want to show you that you're able to actually push start recording. But before you do that, you can turn off the video so it's just your voice. Obviously, you're welcome to use your voice. That's not a problem with me. To use your face. That's not a problem with me. But if you would rather not be seen and only be heard, that's absolutely fine with me. So good luck with your homework.